I know. I said I wasn't going to be here this morning, but I am. I got my dates wrong. So, we're going to just talk about insulin resistance this morning and the one protocol that I found that really helped turn everything around for me and is doing it for thousands of others. In fact, the people that I help. So, I'm Misha. I'm just a woman who I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not any of those things. So, I don't want to take that on. I don't want anybody to think that's what I am. What I am is a woman who suffered with all of the stuff, got really sick. And even though I worked in medical, went to multiple doctors, had multiple things, and nobody could explain what was happening, why my body was just crashing. And they were struggling to help me get better. They were struggling to get diabetes under control. They were struggling to understand why my heart rate wouldn't get under control or my blood pressure wouldn't get under control. They were struggling to understand why I was losing my joints so early and why I had lost my gallbladder and all of these things. That was my life. So how do I feel like I'm qualified to speak on all this stuff? Because I lived it and I helped it get better. And so that's the real gold. What I want to talk about today is something that has helping people get over insulin resistance. I want to talk about insulin resistance and I want to talk about the fact that you are not deficient in a drug. You do not need a drug to help you get better from something that's caused by our nutrition. So let's dive in and understand this. First, if we're going to understand all of this, we first have to understand how our body uses fuel, because at the bottom of this, that's what's really going on. And until we understand that and address it, it's just almost impossible to really get better. You may see a better improvement in numbers, you may see a little bit of weight loss, you may see some things, but is your blood pressure really under control? Is your gallbladder not building more stones? Are you having better joint better joint function? Are you having better muscle function? Are you having better gut function? Are those medications doing that for you? Because they're not. They're not. Now, medications are necessary in some instances. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not here to be that conspiracy theorist kind of person, but I am. But anyway, so what we're going to talk about is how the body uses fuel, because that's super important. How your body uses fuel. We have three macronutrients. We have protein, we have fats, and we have carbohydrates. So let's look at what they do. What fuels the body, what fuels, gives us energy, is actually the fats and the carbohydrates. Okay, that's what's going to make you get that energy that gives you the ability to get up and move throughout the day. Fats or carbohydrates. Remember that later. Now, proteins are primarily a building block. They're what give our muscles and our cells structure so that we can function. So there's a difference, right? Energy, building block. When we eat, we're trying to get either energy or building more healthy tissue, which means we need both. We need fats and carbohydrates. We need protein. But do we really need carbohydrates? We'll talk about that in a second. So protein, and what I talk about all the time, is 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. If you're 300 pounds and you're looking to be 150 pounds, I'm not telling you to go eat 300 grams of protein. I'm telling you to get in 150 grams of protein. But most of us are only getting in not even a third of that. Most of the people that I work with, when they're like, I can't lose weight, I can't, I'm not, just isn't working, because they're only eating about 30 grams of protein in a day. Now, when your body is moving, and please understand that when I'm talking muscle, we're not just talking about the skeletal muscle that's all over your body, the things that are making you move. We're talking about heart, liver, intestines, all of that's muscle tissue. If you're not getting in the right building blocks for those, they start to suffer. You start to lose muscle mass on your body, and you start to put on more fat. So protein by itself is only marginally going to spike your insulin, because it's not only delivering the building blocks. Some of the protein can be converted into energy. That's why, do we really need carbohydrates? We like them. Do we need them? Or can our body get them from other places? I think that it can. So protein. Protein is the first thing you should be getting in. And an interesting thing with protein, out of the three things, protein, fats, and carbohydrates, protein is the most satiating, meaning if you eat a lot of protein, it's going to stick with you longer. You're not going to have the breakthrough hunger as soon. Fats are the next most satiating, and they don't spike your insulin really at all, far less than protein does. And so people ask me all the time, well, how do I do fasting if I have medications to take? I don't know, a boiled egg and maybe an avocado. That's a meal that's not going to really spike your insulin, allow you to take those drugs that you need to take right now and not have all the upset stomach. Or sometimes it's vitamins and minerals, and you got to have something in your stomach. So get a fat in, and that's not going to spike your insulin. It's going to keep you in a fat burning mode. Now, when we get to carbohydrates, they often, let me rephrase that. Carbohydrates will always be less satiating than protein or fats. So when you're eating that candy bar and then you're hungry an hour later or a half hour later, it's because that form of energy went through you too quickly. Had you had, I don't know, a piece of beef jerky, that boiled egg, something instead, you would stay fuller longer and your energy levels would stay more level because you're getting a sustained energy in. Our blood sugar, we're going to dive into blood sugar in just a minute, but I want to explain insulin resistance. And we're going to talk about how blood sugar is spiking and raising and dropping so much and why this is happening. When we talk about insulin resistance, and we now know we have got fuel, right? We've got building blocks, we've got energy. Fat gives your body energy, carbohydrates give your body energy. Fat keeps you feeling full longer, carbohydrates keep you feeling full less long. Carbohydrates mean your body is utilizing sugar for fuel. When you're eating fats and you're not adding in the carbohydrates, your body is being cued to burn fat for fuel. Yes, eating dietary fats cues your body to burn fat. You're not storing fat by eating fats. There's all of these health and gurus out there saying, oh, cut back on the fat. No, you don't want to cut back on the fat. You don't want to have excess amounts of fat, just like you don't want to have excess amounts of sugar. But so I know that most people are not getting in enough protein. And what I know even more than that is most people are not getting in near enough fats, but they're also not getting in the right fats. So you guys got to, like, extra virgin olive oil is touchy. That's one of the oils I use. You have to really read labels to make sure that you're getting in the right oil that doesn't have all the toxins in it. Seed oils contain high amounts of linoleic acids, and they're processed with a solvent called hexane. Now, both of those things have been shown to make insulin resistance worse, much less cause havoc in your gut microbiome. So fats are good as long as you're eating the right kind of fats, like MCT oils, which are specific chain of medium chain triglycerides derived from coconut oil. So coconut oil has some excess things in it, and MCT oil is this really healthy, good for our heart, good for our metabolism oil that we can add even to, like, the tea that I drink every morning. You could add some MCT oil to that, have a little bit more satiety, also not be spiking your insulin, also training your body to use fat for fuel. So when we get fat in and it's creating this instance where there's fat in the system and the body then starts to go, oh, we don't have carbohydrates, insulin isn't needed now, but now we have these fatty acids in our system, and that's creating ketones, and those ketones are now telling our body to burn fat for fuel. So understand what is going on with the fuel we eat. It's not, you guys, we have fallen into this gluttonous society, and I've been there too, so I'm not laying anything low on anybody else, but we've trained ourselves to think that food is all about pleasure, and it's great to have that dopamine hit from something that tastes really good, and we feel really amazing on it. But what happens then is that dopamine hit starts to go away as our body starts to malfunction with fuel that's not correct, and it's going to start to create an avalanche effect inside. And this is what happens: we're eating so much right now, and we're eating so often. We do not need to eat every 2 hours. We do not need to have a snack every 15 minutes. We do not need to pick up a bag of chips when we walk by the counter because we're on our way back to our desk and we're going to sit there for 2 hours. We can go those couple of hours without food. And it's actually extremely healthy for us. This whole thing of eating every 2 hours, I'm going to challenge you to go do some research of your own and figure out where that eating every 2 hours came from. Why was it pushed within the diabetic community? Why is all of this happening when we know that if we eat, especially carbohydrates, orange juice, all of the things that I was told to give to diabetic patients when I was working, they're spiking their insulin even more, causing more problems. Why? Where did that come from? I'm going to bet you're going to find out, if you really wanted to go down the rabbit hole, that it came from a food industry just trying to sell more food, right? A society that knows that they don't need to eat 3 times a day, they don't need to eat every 2 hours, is a society that's buying far less food. So we want to talk about environmental sustainability and all of this stuff. Why don't we just stop eating so damn much? And so damn much of the processed foods that are causing all the stuff that's going on. So you guys think about that for a minute. We don't need to eat so much. And we need to start focusing on proteins, fats, and limiting our carbohydrates. Okay. So in our bodies, what's happening is we have way too much carbohydrates coming in way too often. Well, when we eat carbohydrates, it spikes sugar in our blood. Okay. Glucose. That's an energy source, right? That energy source, though, when there's too much of it in the blood, makes the blood sticky and kind of sludge-like and things go wrong. So when there's more than 1 teaspoon of glucose in the bloodstream, the body goes, oh no, danger, and oh heck, we have all this energy, we need to deliver it. So now the brain is telling the pancreas to produce this hormone called insulin that will now grab this energy and start to deliver it to all the cells of the body. There's not a cell in the body that they've looked at so far that doesn't have insulin receptors on them. Some cells have more receptors, some cells have less, but every cell so far has insulin receptors on it. So we're going to talk about how to fix it in a second. So when this happens, when we're rising our insulin, that's a really healthy response. Now we're able to utilize that sugar for energy. We have quick energy and we're up and moving, right? But what we're doing is we're dumping so much of the sugar in that insulin has to rise higher and higher. You're damaging your pancreas, overworking it. Some beta cells in the pancreas start to go bad. Long term of this ends up with prediabetes, diabetes, and then after type 2 diabetes, it can turn into type 1 late onset because your pancreas is so damaged, it now doesn't function just like a type 1 diabetics. So there's this long progression of stuff going on, all caused by too much insulin, too much food, sugar in the system in the first place. Dr. Ben Bickman, one of my favorite metabolic scientists, he is my favorite metabolic scientist, wrote this book. I do have it next to me. I always have it next to me. Why We Get Sick. And he talks about this. So when we have this energy dysregulation, we're getting in the wrong kind of energy and we're relying on insulin too much. That means our body's constantly wanting sugar. The problem is when insulin is high in your system, you cannot burn fat. Insulin is protective of the work it does. So insulin is a hormone of growth. It's anabolic. It wants things to grow. It wants to sustain things. It's not going to let your body break anything down as long as it's high in the system. It kind of says, hey, I did all this work to get energy to all these cells, and I'm not going to let you ruin that. One of the things that happens is when all of the cells have enough energy and some of the cells start to feel in danger because they've gotten too much, some cells will shut down, some cells will act normally, and some cells will take up too much. Well, in the meantime, insulin's just trying to do its job and deliver this energy. The cells are like, shut up, insulin. I don't want you anymore. Go away. And so now it says, okay, well, this person keeps putting all this energy in. I have to put it somewhere. You guys aren't taking it. So I'm going to go to the storage unit, your fat cells, and I'm going to put it there for now. So when you have insulin high and you have sugar high, insulin is working and it's putting all of this fat in your fat cells. And it's not going to let you burn that. It's not going to let you break that down. It's not going to let you get rid of that fat. It's going to continually store. So one of the ways to get rid of that and allow you to start burning fat is to get insulin down, which means stop eating so much, stop eating so often, stop eating so many carbohydrates when you are eating. But almost everything today has bad fats and carbohydrates in it. So now what? So that's where the protocol comes in. We're going to talk about how to get over it in just a second. But understand that your body's need for these fuel sources is what's driving us to either better health or the disease and disorder that most of us are experiencing. And this is important because 93% of us are experiencing this. 93% of us are having IBS or Crohn's or lessened eyesight, bleeding teeth and gums, joint pain, brain fog, hair that's falling out, mood swing disorders, depression. All of these things are linked to insulin resistance. And if 93% of us are suffering from it, 93% of us need an answer. So here it is. What I found after I tried everything, after I was on 13 medications, all of the stuff, and doctors were struggling to figure out how to get me under control, my health under control, I stumbled on a system just like you just did. And I was like, you know what? I've tried everything else. I've done all the natural stuff. I've done the juicing. I even did celery juice and all that stuff. Remember when celery juice was up and coming? Um, but it wasn't helping. My blood sugars weren't getting better. My health wasn't getting better. I couldn't walk up and down stairs. I had a cane and a walker. I refused to use the walker most days. I would just grab onto whatever I could and pretend that I wasn't in so much pain. My life was falling apart, and my blood pressure was regularly 180 over 150 at some point during every day. Yes, now I'm having the repercussions of a weakened heart because of all of that long-term high blood pressure that nobody could get under control. Guess what? It's under control today. This morning's blood pressure reading was 115 over 72, and I've not been on any medications for 3 years. Okay. Medications weren't helping, right? They were maybe keeping my blood pressure a little bit managed, but they weren't helping. This system and understanding insulin resistance reversed that hypertension for me and my diabetes. So this is what it is. It's a tea that I drink in the morning and a pre-meal drink that I have before anything I eat. But the way you guys want to do it is a tea in the morning, a tea in the afternoon, and a pre-meal drink before your biggest meal with the most carbohydrates. So what's happening here is this has chlorogenic acids in it. They're 375 times more potent in this or present in this than in any standard yerba mate tea. Plus, brewing yerba mate tea is a pretty arduous task. So now we have it standardized. We have it in a package that's already measured and dosed for you so that you know you're getting that 375 times the chlorogenic acids and that you're getting the health for your body. Why are chlorogenic acids important? They're a component that can cross the blood-brain barrier. That's helping with the energy in the blood, in the brain. Not everything gets there. The brain needs cholesterol. The brain needs carbohydrates to function properly. The brain becomes insulin resistant at the same time the body does. In fact, they're now saying not only does the brain have insulin receptors, they're suspecting, they haven't proven it yet, that the brain has its own insulin creation mechanism. So now your brain could actually be becoming more insulin resistant quicker than the rest of your body because it's getting the insulin from the pancreas and the insulin from the brain in response to these high blood sugars. Chlorogenic acids are helping go in and get proper amounts of energy into the brain and allowing you to have better feelings of wellness. So you're not anxious and depressed and all of that. And we all know when you're anxious and depressed, you're going to overeat and your body weight changes. So is it a direct effect on your body weight? In some ways, no. In some ways, yes. When you feel better, you do better. So the tea's helping you feel better, but it's also eliciting something called GLP-1. Now, most of you guys have heard about GLP-1. It's glucagon-like peptide, and it's that medication that everybody's injecting to lose weight or manage their diabetes. It's in Ozempic and Mounjaro. Two different medications, but they're both based off of glucagon-like peptide. Now, what glucagon-like peptide does in the body is it's helping keep the component hormone glucagon at bay. I've talked at length about intermittent fasting and why this all works. So when we get the insulin levels down, glucagon is able to come out. When glucagon is out, it's not stopping you from burning fat. In fact, it's helping with ketones being produced. But one of the things, don't be fooled by this little hormone. We can become resistant to it along with insulin because it's all about the blood sugar. Glucagon is trying to rise your blood sugar back up to give you energy. The GLP-1s, glucagon-like peptides, are helping you keep they're increasing your insulin levels while decreasing your glucagon levels in some bodies. So the insulin is supposed to be helping you with your blood sugar. With this, we're getting some glucagon-like peptide action. So we're helping regulate sugar, but the biggest piece of it is that we're getting in satiety. So this glucagon-like peptide is actually made in the gut, and it starts there, and it starts to help us feel fuller longer, and then it hits the gut-brain axis. So this pathway, this direct pathway between the gut and the brain communicating together. Both of them have neurons. So they're communicating. Now we get this glucagon-like peptide action going on in the gut, helping you stay fuller longer, helping you not want to eat more. And then it's sending signals to the brain that are doing similar things in the brain. Now we have less hunger in the brain and we have more energy in the brain. And so the brain goes, hey, I don't need to cue hunger in the body because I got what I need now. The tea is helping with all of that. The tea is helping the brain get the energy it needs. When the brain is feeling satiated, when the gut is feeling satiated, you eat less, you're less likely to dive into those sugars and stuff that are going to spike the insulin so high that you have a problem with burning fat and becoming metabolically flexible. Metabolic flexibility is just being able to go from burning sugar for fuel to burning fat for fuel. When insulin is high, you're burning sugar, you're not burning fat. When insulin goes down and glucagon has a chance to come out, you are burning fat for fuel. What's in the fat cells? Well, there's some glucose stores in there. So there's a lot of storage in the fat cells. And when we start to burn that, some people's glucose levels can go up, especially in the beginning when you're pulling a lot of fats out of your liver. With insulin resistance and too much insulin in your body is cueing you to store fat in visceral areas, and it messes with your liver. We talked about liver earlier this week, but it starts to have your liver packing on more fat. More than 5 to 10% of the liver's weight in fat means you have a fatty liver and that you're at risk of having a number of other issues go on. Short synopsis, right? So your glucose levels could go up when you start because you're dumping fat from areas and dumping glycogen stores from the liver, and that's initially going to make your glucose levels go up for some people, maybe about 30% of people, as their body starts to re-regulate their metabolism. Now, some people have said, well, my blood sugar levels, it's been 2 months, it's been 3 months, my blood sugar levels are too high. Well, either they're getting in more glucose than they thought they were, or their body was so glucose resistant, it's just going to take a little longer for that to re-regulate, but it does and it will. You just have to give it time, you guys. When you've trained your body to live on glucose all the time and you've done all of the things that we've done to our body with packaged foods, with all of these processed and added sugar foods, our body becomes reliant on that sugar and it kind of freaks out when we start to take it away. So until it gets all of these sugars out of the system, until it starts to say, hey, I don't have to have sugar for energy, I can burn fat for energy, you might see some glucose spikes. I hope that's understandable for some people. But tea in the morning, it helps give me mental clarity and energy. It helps me feel full even in the morning. So we'll talk about what I ate yesterday and then we'll go over the rest of this. So then I have that this morning. That's what's here. This is 2 teas in here. So I'll finish half of this here shortly. And then the rest of it I'll have throughout the day. Now, if I have breakthrough hunger in the afternoon, if I have an energy slump and I just need to pick myself up again, I have a second tea. So it's helping keep that glucagon like peptide that's helping you burn fat and keep your sugar levels under control. That's helping me with all of that. And the energy and the feeling good and the glucagon like peptide action are extremely important in this whole process. When I eat, now I know I've done a lot of research now, and it shows fiber can actually be present and working in your gut for hours after you eat it. So for me, though, I also look at the studies that say when we go from 16 grams of fiber to 20 or 37 grams of fiber, there's a huge change in metabolic health. So this gives me about 5 grams of fiber. So it's not a lot, right? If I'm normally eating about 16 grams of fiber, I would need at least two of these a day to get to like 26 grams, and we should be at 37. So why this fiber though? I heard a doctor this morning talking about, oh, well, there's about as much fiber in a banana as there is in this. Well, yeah, maybe. There's also a lot of glucose and fructose in that banana to get that fiber that you're eating, that you're trying to protect yourself from other glucose in your system. And now you've just dumped in a whole bunch with that banana. And the banana has non-insoluble fiber. The insoluble fiber only marginally helps on the blood sugar spikes. Soluble fiber is what's really helping with the blood sugar spikes. So in this packet, we have 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers so that it creates a matrix that can really hold on to those sugars and help you when you do have excess sugars, like you have that croissant or you have the pasta or you have the baked potato. It's really helping with that, but it's helping regulate the blood sugars regardless of what you're eating. I drink it multiple times a day. So here's the stage of the day. Where did I put I was going to show you guys. Sometimes I mix my LMNT in here. Oh, so there's one right there. Here it is. I bought this chili lime, guys, and I am not a rep for Element. I just really believe in getting in the right electrolytes. So, and salt, we've been sold salt has been sold a bad rap, just like fiber and a few other things. So what I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to mix my fiber and I'm going to mix the Element right in with it, because I know that from my scan that my electrolytes are a little bit down this morning. So I want to bump those up. So this is as easy as it is. A little bit of water, this packet, 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers, phytonutrients, stuff that's giving my gut microbiome things to work off of, to build off of, helping me feel full, coating my gut, helping me with a lot of things. Now I'm going to add, if I can open this today, add the Element because I want those extra electrolytes in this morning. I have a problem with cramping and whatnot. So we're going to put that right in here just like that. And then now, so this is going to be a salty fiber drink today. Shake it up. That's it. This is my fiber. Okay. A couple of times a day I do this. Now I'm getting improper amounts of fiber. My gut's happier. My brain is happier. My whole body is happier. A little bit salty, a little bit spicy because I got the chili lime. But look at this. Oh, I forgot to grab a bottle and do the Metamucil too. But look how thick that is. That's what's giving me protection from those glucose and the lipids in my system. Now, we have multiple studies on it. So when people are saying whatever they're saying, there's a lot of studies. We've had scientists study this specifically to help with metabolism and insulin resistance. Dr. Ben Bickman actually had a hand in developing both of these tools because he is the metabolic scientist, and that's his big concern in life, is helping people get better metabolically. And that's it. You guys, it costs about $5 a day. It's not, oh, this tea cost me $5. This cost me about $5 a day. 2 different drinks that I'm drinking and well, 3 different ones. Fiber before I eat. The fiber. Now this fiber, as you can see, was thickening up. As it hits the gut and my gut enzymes, that thickens up even more. It will start to coat my gut. It will start to help me feel fuller, quicker, and longer. In fact, I got a message just recently that was like, I'm feeling better. I have better energy. I'm not hungry all the time. And yeah, I get full quicker. That means that you're less likely to overeat. Is it all about calorie restriction? No. But understanding how many calories we eat is important. In autism times, thank you for the gifts. Um, Autism Tales, if you're new here, I'm also autistic. I'm late diagnosed autistic, but it makes sense with what's happened in my life, how I am, how I'm perceived by others, and some of the things I've been able to excel at, and some of the things I struggle with. So when I get love from people who get it, I really appreciate that. By the way, the system, by helping regulate your blood sugar levels and helping get proper signals to the brain, has actually helped with autism for many people. I've worked with many people, and when I can do this for them, sensitivities, those sensory disruptions just start to ease up. Not so sensitive to loud noises and big crowds and all of that stuff. And it's not just me, it's been a number of people I work with. Um, Thank you. You know what? I think it's really important because there are more of us that are autistic than not. And I got the diagnosis and I'm really working on finding a way to talk about it because I no longer feel that autism is a disorder. I think our brain works differently, but hey, my skin is the different skin color than Mary J. Blige's. Does that make me a bad person because my skin color is different? No, we all have differences. Autistic people are some of the smartest people in the world as well. So we just have to learn how to work with our cues. Now, neurotypical people are amazing at the things they're amazing at. So can we just all let people be amazing at what they're amazing at and understand that we all have things that are healthier for us and less healthy? In an autistic person, it's even more important to get our brain function and the cues and energy to our brain there more regularly, and it will help. Also, there have been a lot of studies that show, and thank you, because when I first started talking about it, when people didn't realize I had autism spectrum, that they would come after me like, "How dare you?" Well, yeah, how dare I? Because this is my life. This is my life. But diabetes, especially in the parents, diabetes, whether it's diabetes before pregnancy or whether it's gestational diabetes, heavy levels of insulin during pregnancy can trigger the genes of autism that create a baby who's autistic. So parents, lovingly take care of your diabetes before, during, and after your pregnancy to give your child the best possible health that they can have. So I think we are enhancing our symptoms no matter of neurodiversity due to environmental triggers. I think so too, and this whole journey of getting the diagnosis and starting to look at my life and understand some of the things that are happening with me that other people just didn't understand, I didn't understand. It was an up and down journey the last year or so to try and figure this out, and I'm just now stepping into this phase of, hey, I don't have to feel bad that my brain is different. I don't have to feel bad about all those times people misunderstood me. I'm not an ass. I'm not arrogant. I'm not any of that stuff. I just function differently. Like, I love technology. I'm not so good in a great big crowd, but if you sit me down with some technology and a computer, I will bust it out, right? But we need people like me. We also need the very social people like my girlfriend Steffi, who has no clue of all the mental gymnastics who's autistic goes through to figure out what they're going to do in the day. The link doesn't seem to be working. Oh my gosh! Mm. Okay, I know I have B. I know I have some other people who said similar things, but let's take a look. I'll go in and look because I have it pulled up on my computer. Which link isn't working? So I need to know that. Let's flip this around and take a look at the links. Let's fix this. Take that off. I'm all over the place today because my grandson gets off of school early. By the way, I was at his field day yesterday. That's why I was gone, because I thought it was today, but it was yesterday. All right, so you see all the fingerprints on my computer. You'd think that it was touchscreen, but let's take a look. This is my TikTok, right? My TikTok. So if we go here to this link right below my picture, it should open up my link tree. Hopefully that's not where you're having the problem, because right here it is. So to get with me on WhatsApp, there's the link. If you don't have WhatsApp, you're going to, be prompted to download it. But the system I used right here to order, it takes me right to the website. So that's working. I may just have to send it to you direct. Let's check the other links and see. There's my website, and I'm sorry, over on Facebook, I didn't fix this so you can see what I'm doing here. So let's fix that. You can also just text me at the number that's on my WhatsApp. I'll put it up here. I thought about putting it up this morning, but let's go. So there's the link over on Facebook. And I want to do this. This is what we were looking at. On TikTok, this little screen. Okay. So if you go here, I don't know what the direction thing is. So we've just made this take me home. Now you're at my website. You can find the link there, but you can also find a ton of other information. You guys, I'm going to start a blog right now too. So we're going to have a lot of information that you can sit down and read if you just like to do that, about the fiber and the chlorogenic acids and the tea and insulin resistance and all the stuff. Okay. So there's that. I know I took some screenshots yesterday too, and then life blew up the other day. So I will get those messages out to you. The one in my bio, yeah, I just clicked it and it's working. So not sure why. Let's do that again, because if I come up here to this link right here, not this part, but this part, it's working. It brings me right there. And unfortunately on TikTok, you guys, TikTok just does not like to let me does not like to let me put my link in here, but I can try. Let's try it. That's the link to order. Let me know if you guys see it. Please let me know so I can know if that's there. I'm going to put my number in. You can text me and I can get it to you that way as well. So I'm going to just bulk it all together here. Okay, that's my number. It's a US number. Text that number and I'll get you the links to order if it didn't show up here. And we can also have a conversation if you want to about what's going on with you and is this going to help. Okay, so the Feel Great system, you guys, a tea in the morning, a tea in the afternoon, and a pre-meal drink before you eat anything. I can go over all the science of why this works. But how about we just talk about some stories? Like we talked about mine a little bit, and that was the fact that I had all of the stuff going on, and most of the stuff that's on the tile that's behind my head, I suffered with most all of that. Let's go here. Nope, here. Okay, so almost all of this I had. Hypothyroid, high blood pressure, fibromyalgia, PCOS, hormone problems, headaches, sleep apnea, diabetes, arthritis, vertigo, skin tags, melasma, all of that. I was suffering with all of that. Felt like I was just creating a briefcase of symptoms, full of symptoms that I would bring to my doctor. And she was so frustrated because the typical medical knowledge wasn't giving her, hey, maybe we should look at insulin resistance. Hey, maybe we should understand that. But it's not just me. Every day I get messages from people who are saying things like, I have better energy. Um, Weight loss is dependent on the person and what's going on in your body. So I can't tell you that weight loss is going to happen for you immediately. I have some people, and I'm one who I lost 50 pounds. I've been able to keep the weight off, but I still struggle. Well, there's other hormonal issues. The Feel Great system is going to take care of the big piece, that 93%. It's going to help you get that out of the way so then we can see what else is going on. Does it mean the system's not working? Does it mean that you should stop the system? No. In fact, when you clear that elephant out of the room and the doctors can actually see what's left over, maybe they can figure out, is this a dysfunctioning thyroid? Is there a dysfunction with sexual hormones? Is there some other genetic piece or other piece that's going on that we don't understand? And that's likely what's happening. So if you want to take care of your health, take care of your health, but make sure that you're staying consistent, because the other things could just be other things. And look, if you're driving down the road and you put gas in your car and your car runs out of fuel, are you going to change your oil to fix the fact that you have no fuel? Are you going to continue to put fuel in and maybe change the oil when it needs changed? That's kind of how this is. The Feel Great system is like giving you that better regulation of fuel in your system. And then when something else needs addressed, you can address that, but you're still going to fuel your system. And that brings me to something else. People always say, hey, how long do I have to do this? Can I do it for 2 months or 3 months and then stop? I don't know. Are you going to eat for 3 months and then just never eat again? Because remember, the problem is not just the amount of food that we're eating, but the food that we're eating is causing the problem, because it's been stripped of fibers and all of this stuff. So I'm going to do it for the rest of my life as long as I want to be healthy and live out my life like, I don't know. I just saw myself on a motorcycle with flames all around me because I'm just like burning through everything, but that's my mind. All right. So the system, we have Jason, who has lost, and I don't know if I have his pictures up. I don't have his pictures up. And there are more and more people than this, but these are just the slides I have up. But so Jason's lost 190 pounds in about a year and a half, almost 2 years now, about 190 pounds. No medications, no gastric bypass surgery. This is all he's done. And doing the whole system of fiber first, protein, prioritize protein, don't fear fats, limit carbs, intermittent fast, about 16 hours a day, and then move your body. That has got him to 190-pound weight loss, but it's also helped with his erectile dysfunction, no longer having that problem. Anger and anxiety issues are almost nearly gone, and a number of other issues he had. We also have Cindy, who has lost over 160 pounds and changed her life, but also changed her husband's life, who was diabetic type 2. He's no longer on diabetic medications and is thriving in life. We have a young, he's 13 now, but he started when he was like 11, type 1 diabetic, who does the system and has his diabetes under control, has lost over 30 pounds himself. His mama was a cancer survivor. Now she has lost over 60 pounds, got her insulin resistance under control. She has her husband doing it, her son, her daughter. The daughter has some neurodivergence herself. This has helped her manage that. We've had people, you guys understand that skin issues are also a link to insulin problems. Okay, so we've had a number of people who are complaining about skin issues, and they've done the system, got their gut microbiome under control, got their blood sugars under control, got this whole insulin resistance thing under control, and all of a sudden their skin is clearer than it's ever been in their life. So I have a bodybuilder who was having problems with bloating and diabetes type 2, and she behind the scenes hadn't told anybody how sick she was. She looked healthy, amazing woman. But a year into the system, she took some pictures in the same suit at the same weight she was the year before in off season, and bloating was gone. Her face was slimmer. more muscle mass on her body. When you're insulin resistant, you're unable to, some of the cells that are not taking in energy are your muscle cells. And so you start losing muscle mass. By the way, in the beginning, when you start to lose weight with the system, it's not about the weight on the scale. And I want to repeat that 100 times, but understand when a body is insulin resistant, it's not able to put muscle on in the manner that it's supposed to. So not only are other things wasting away, your muscle is as well. When you start to reverse insulin resistance, if you're young enough, you start to be able to regain some of that healthy muscle mass. Now, ladies and gentlemen over 50 and 60, you know it's almost impossible for us to put that muscle back on. So you want to make sure you're taking care of it beforehand. And if you're already in this stage, you want to stop that muscle loss now. But back to the weight loss. Muscle is much smaller and denser per weight than fat. So a lot of people have said, "Oh, well, I don't seem to be losing weight. It's been a month, it's been 6 months, I'm not losing weight." And yet their shirts are fitting better. They've had to buy a belt for their jeans, just different little clues like that. So stop thinking about weight loss as just weight on the scale and think about it as fat loss. And as you lose fat and gain muscle, you're doing better. Now, I'm kind of all over the place this morning, but I do want to poke this little knowledge in there. There have been studies, not everyone, but many, many people have, when they lose weight with these injectable drugs, they're losing about 40% of that weight by losing more muscle because of the mechanism of the drugs. So they're losing so a person loses 100 pounds, we can say that about 60 pounds of it was fat and about 40 pounds of it was muscle. So when you look up things like Ozempic face, Ozempic butt, where skin is just hanging, it's because they've lost muscle mass along with the fat mass. And that's not really how we want to lose weight. When we have more muscle, it has more mitochondria in it. It's burning more through more fuel. It's helping us stay more metabolically flexible because it's eating up this energy from the food we eat and not having it go to fat storage. Muscle is really important on our bodies, and if we're losing it because of insulin resistance or high insulin levels, it's a problem. And that also brings me to insulin injections. If you're a type 2 diabetic, question your doctor on why you're getting insulin injections. Your problem already is that you're having too much insulin in the system, so that your body's shutting down to it. But the real problem is that you're getting too many unrefined sugars and whatnot in your system. So the protocol that I use, the 2 teas, the 1 tea in the morning, which is what I'm drinking now, and the fiber drink that I have before each meal helps with all of that. Now I have energy. Now I have mental clarity. Now I have a body that's feeling full of energy without excess amounts of caffeine, but just because we're getting energy to the cells. I'm regulating the blood sugars and dropping a blood sugar spike by 20% with this. And remember, I don't know if you've been here or not, but if you've been here, I talked about how some studies were done on a normal fiber, just on any random fiber, a blood sugar spike reduced by about 13% with that fiber before a meal. This reduces it by about 20%. Now, in those studies, 4 to 5 hours later, when they ate again, even not adding more fiber in, the blood sugar spike was reduced by about 60%. That fiber is important. There's also a ton of studies that say psyllium husk is not going to do this. So guess what this is? Guess what this is? Psyllium husk. Okay, so again, 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers. Let's talk about fiber a second and why this is so much better than this. So those soluble fibers create this thick gel matrix. They create this, right? This thickness in here. That's what's coating your sugars and whatnot and keeping them from absorbing into your system too quickly and reducing that blood sugar spike. Now, but you see how it's just kind of runny and jelly. So the insoluble fibers are long, strandy kind of fibers. And what they do when they get in your system is they kind of make like a basket weave mesh. Now you take that mesh that's really good at cleaning out the gut, cleaning out the intestines, and you add these soluble fibers. like guar gum and locust bean gum and a few other fibers. You add those in there. Now you have this thick gel that's encapsulating your sugars and your fats, and it's held together and held more present by those insoluble fibers. So it takes both kinds. One kind of fiber is not going to do it, and every fiber has a different action in the body. We have a fiber that's made just to clean you out for a cleanse. By the way, my cleanse is going to get sent on the 1st, and then I'm going to be starting a parasite cleanse as soon as I receive it. So anybody who wants to do that with me for your health, it's good for your liver, it's good for your gut, it's just good for your overall health. I do it right alongside the system. And so then I'll be getting in extra fiber, which I generally do every day anyway. But this system has allowed people across the board, young, we have children as young as 2 years old, starting to use the system, because it's not about the age, it's about the food. And if as adults we're getting food that's imperfect, what do you think's happening with our kids? And our food is more and more imperfect, and this is why we have diabetic children. My own granddaughter. I moved up a couple of years ago to help my daughter out. She's a single mom, 3 kids, and I noticed that the granddaughter would eat a lot of fruit. She wasn't eating a lot of protein. She wasn't, and she would get mad at me. She was like, "I'm doing what's healthy, Nana. Leave me alone." I'm like, "No, baby, you got to get in some protein. You got to do something besides fruit." And then I started realizing she had dark skin patches on her elbows and around her neck and on her knees. And I'm like, "Oh, that's a sign, you guys. That's a sign. You see those dark patches, that's a sign that that person is insulin resistant, whether they've been diagnosed with diabetes or not." So we took her in at my behest and got her tested. And sure enough, she was already pre diabetic on her way to being diabetic. She now uses the system and has reversed that, lost weight, her moods, and her attitude is so much better. She is now 12. So it's happening to our children. And she wasn't eating a lot of packaged foods. She ate a lot of fruits and vegetables, and yet she was pre-diabetic. She doesn't eat a lot of sugar and that stuff. Again, her preferred food is things like radishes and carrots and any kind of fruit. Yet she was pre-diabetic. So we switched her up, got her to start eating more protein, added the system in just like I do, just like her mama does, and her prediabetes was reversed and she's no longer pre-diabetic. So again, young to old, no matter what you're doing, this can help you. And you need to understand that 93% of us are sick, not because we choose to be, not because, you know, we want to be. We're immersed in an environment that is not healthy for us. And until we fix that environment, we have to figure out how to fix the pieces that are broken. And that's what this does. It puts back in what's been stripped out of our food so that we can function more normally and have this normal metabolic health. Now, my grandson, who has ADHD, also, it's interesting to me. He's not been doing the system for the past few months. You know, mama has had some struggles of her own, and his ADHD behaviors have worsened. When he does the system, his thinking is clearer, his need for stimming is less. So this really helps across the board. And I just would love for people to understand how much your health is reliant on your metabolic health, and that getting it under control is really what the key is to getting your health back, whether you're 6 or whether you're 60, or we have some people who are 90 doing the system, because they know that if they want to live more pain-free and free during the latter stages of life, that they need to take care of their body. In fact, it's crazy to me how I sit down and I do all this stuff for my health, and I'm always researching stuff for my health. And I was talking to my kids yesterday, and I'm like, damn, I sound just like my daddy did at this age. It's just something we all come to. But if you're my age and you want to take care of your health, or if you're younger and you want to take care of your health before you get to this age, let me know. I'd love to help. Um, I will be back Monday. I will find a topic to talk about Monday. Unless you guys have something, is there something on this list that you guys want me to go over Monday, how it's related to insulin resistance and why it matters? I'd be love to do that. What have we not talked about for a while? So let's maybe pick between things like skin issues, fibromyalgia, or blood pressure. Skin, fibromyalgia, or blood pressure. What do you guys want to talk about on Monday? Does anybody have a preference? Fibromyalgia is an interesting one because I've worked in clinics where one doctor says it's an absolute diagnosis. People are really suffering with this. And the next doctor will be like, it's a bullshit diagnosis. We just give it to people when we don't know what's going on with them. So fibromyalgia is really interesting to me. Just got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. So why don't we, and that was kind of an intuitive hit. So let's talk about fibromyalgia on Monday. I'm going to explain how insulin resistance is causing this. Now I'm going to give a disclaimer and I'll talk about this again on Monday. There are some things like spinal injuries and whatnot that can cause fibromyalgia. So I'm not saying this is the only thing, but it's one of the big things, and I think it's the missing piece in getting people to feel better from fibromyalgia. I was on 3 different pain medications 3 years ago, and I would just cycle through them because I was afraid of what was happening to my liver, face nerve issue. It's going to link into that as well. Okay. So we'll talk about fibromyalgia Monday, but understand that insulin resistance is a huge cause of fibromyalgia. And we're going to break it down and explain what's happening in the body and why we're going from too much sugar to too much insulin to fibromyalgia. And that maybe it will make sense. And look, I don't have any pain medications that I take at all. I have, and it's naproxen sodium I have in my cupboard. I was looking the other day because I don't even look at it anymore. But it's the only one I have in there now. I don't have pain medications. I've been off of them. And for me, I don't know about you. Yeah, diabetes type 2. Mine has been reversed. My A1C is 5.3. My triglycerides are now down in like around 100 from almost 200. It's been crazy good. So talk with me Monday about 8:30 a.m. We'll be right back here, and we're going to talk about fibromyalgia and how insulin resistance is affecting you, and you might just get some relief. I don't have all that pain anymore. I'm so thankful that I don't wake up every day in that kind of pain. So we'll talk about it Monday. Thanks you guys for hanging out with me. If you want to know how to order, you guys, I put my number over there. I put the link over on Facebook. Just get a hold of me or just go directly to the link to order, and I'd love to help you out. So I send you guys text messages. I respond to messages when you send them to me, and we stay in communication as much as we need to. So we'll see you guys Monday. So this is the point of the day, right? It's Friday. I got to get out there. I got to go do a bunch of work because my little grandson is getting out of school early. And if I don't get the dishes done and the stuff done before he gets here, it's going to be like tornado in my house. So I got to go get ready for this little 7-year-old package of Fireball to hit my doorstep. But with that said, I'm going to encourage you guys to let's talk about a couple other things that affect insulin resistance: sleep and happiness. Okay. Hey, Melba. Sleep and happiness. Get rest. Turn off the electronics. Get rest. Happiness. Find something to be grateful for, and it's probably right under your nose and you're just not looking there to be grateful for it. Those two things can help get your insulin levels down too. Cortisol levels when we're stressed and when we're not sleeping cause more insulin problems. So let's give it a 1-2 punch. You guys spend time with your family and friends. Just unplug. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you all Monday. We're going to talk about fibromyalgia. All right. Thanks, you guys. Have a blessed weekend. See you.